Good evening, room 207 students. How are you doing today? Great. I'm here to do your nightly reading of Crenshaw with Rossi. And we are on chapter 30. And let's get started. And for this chapter, I'm going to have you continue making connections as you read. And as I read, I'm going to model them for you. And then when you do your independent reading, I want you to try making connections as well. Okay? Here we go. This is chapter 30. This one's a little bit longer than the last few chapters I have been reading, and it's still in flashback, and it's Jackson talking about Crenshaw. Here we go. I guess for most kids, imaginary friends just sort of fade away, the way dreams do. I've asked people when their imaginary friends stopped hanging around, and they never seem to remember. Everybody said the same thing. I guess I just outgrew him. But I lost Crenshaw all of a sudden, after things got back to normal. It was like when you have a favorite t-shirt that you've worn forever. Okay, I'm going to make a connection here because I have a favorite t-shirt that I used to wear forever, and I finally had to get rid of it because it faded away so much, and it had holes, and I was embarrassed to wear it without the holes, and I just couldn't keep it anymore. So that's a connection. That's a self-to-text connection. One day you put it on and surprise, your belly button is showing. You don't remember growing too big for the shirt, but sure enough, there's your belly button sticking out for the whole wide world to see. The day he left, Crenshaw walked to school with me. He did that most mornings unless he wanted to stay home and watch Blue's Clues reruns. We stopped at the playground. I was telling him about how I wanted to get a real cat someday. Okay, you can go ahead and make a connection right there. Think about your cats. That was before I found out my parents were extremely allergic to cats. Crenshaw stood on his head. Then he did a cartwheel. He was an excellent cartwheeler. When I came to a stop, he gave me a grumpy look. I'm a cat, he said. I know, I said. I'm a real cat. His tail whipped up and down. I said, you know a cat other people can see. He battered a paw at a yellow butterfly. I could tell he was ignoring me. A bunch of big guys, 4th and 5th graders, walked by. They pointed at me and laughed, making cuckoo circles with their fingers. Who are you talking to, doofus? One asked, and then he snort laughed. That is my least favorite kind of laughing. I pretended not to hear him. I knelt down and tied my shoe like it was very, very important that I do that right then and there. My face was hot. My eyes were wet. I'd never been embarrassed about having an imaginary friend until that moment. Ooh. Maybe it's time to make an inference here. How do you think poor Jackson is feeling? Being called names. I waited. The boys moved on. Then I heard someone else approaching. She wasn't walking, more like skip dancing. Hey, I'm Marisol, said the girl. I'd seen her at recess before. She had long, dark, crazy hair and an unusually large smile. I have a Tyrannosaurus backpack just like yours. I'm going to be a paleontologist when I grow up, which means I predict that they're going to get along very well. I know what that means, I said. I want to be one too, or maybe a bat scientist. Her smile got even bigger. I'm Jackson, I said, and I stood. When I looked around, I realized that Crenshaw had vanished. So Crenshaw disappears when Jackson makes a new friend. Interesting. All right, so that is the end of chapter 30 and the end of tonight's reading. And tonight, I want you to know that you can always make those text-to-self connections and text-to-text connections. You can make those inferences, and I also asked a question there. You can do that when you do your independent reading, and I model it for you, but for you, it's just going to become second nature as you get more and more experienced in your reading life. All right, so you have a good rest of your evening. Rossi is right here with me, cuddling. He's missed me. I've been out most of the day, and we'll see you tomorrow evening. Okay, bye.